Susheela, thanks very much for joining us. You're based there out of Asia, Susheela. What are the trends that you're seeing there?
So the big Asia Pacific markets will be obviously China, and I think during the pandemic, China has recovered very well. I think the investors who are already in China were very heavily searching for assets in the logistics data center space for all the reasons we can think of, whether it's retail online, whether it is movements and consumer demand. And actually, Richard, consumer demand has been the highest since COVID because people are still spending and they are buying, albeit buying online. I think what will happen is you will have in Asia still great demand. I think the physical assets will still be in vogue. It will probably be a hybrid way of enjoying assets. And I think the assets and the enjoyment and use of assets, such as retail, will need to merge experience with bespoke, with a kind of quickness of having delivery and returns. And so the trends, the digitalization, the sustainability will have to merge. And so I think we're already seeing it in China, where the recovery has been quick. Life is almost back to normal. People are still people are still going to retail shops to have the experience and the physical buying. And so I think that will be the case. The asset class will need to change in Asia.
And in terms of the sort of globalization side, do you think globalization is going to continue growing, or where do you see that, Susheela?
So I think if capital have sort of stayed regionally or local, it is policy driven sometimes, and it is also, you can't ignore the political issues for sure. Ultimately, I'm hoping that once you've got a taste of globalization, it will return. It's a question of when. I think there are bigger forces at play, and whilst Asia as an economic power will need to get strong, and I never use the words overtake. I think various pockets of power can be equally strong. And so I think for Asia Pacific, certainly there are going to be a lot more interplay in the region, but global capital flows will still be very attractive because societies are moving around, generational shifts wants to own assets across the world. So whilst there might be some policy reasons that hold back capital, ultimately there's still that demand. So it's a question of when that is relaxed. And my point is when rather than if. I think for this part of the world and Hong Kong, where I'm based, have had its share of strife, but very exciting for those here in Hong Kong is to look at what I call the Greater Bay Area as a fantastic growth potential, whether it is life sciences coming out of COVID. Life sciences as an asset class is going to be attractive, and the Greater Bay Area has got lots of incentives to drive that asset class. And so I would say for Greater China, it's good to see how Greater Bay Area grows, because it's certainly a region that China is very committed to.
Great, really interesting to catch up, Susheela. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Richard.